1985 Toyota pickup, when a truck was still a truck. This is my 1985 Toyota Extra Cab I've owned since 2010. I sold my boring, reliable 45 mile per gallon Civic to daily drive this 4x4 beast 100 miles a day with no regrets. I bought this truck because of its rugged off-road capability, but I told my wife it was for hauling materials and wood for improvements to our first home. It took a couple of years to figure out that an off-road toy doesn't equal a reliable daily driver. So I bought a four-door when my family started growing, but had fallen in love with my Toyota and began restoring it to the vehicle you see today. After 10 years of ownership, I've spent a good amount of time repairing just about everything on this truck, from the frame to replacing the engine, body and paint work, and all kinds of mechanical stuff. If you're subscribed, you see my how-to videos. It's about time I do a full review and show you all the details of the 1985 Toyota pickup, or Hilux if you're outside North America. Toyota designed the second generation pickup in 1984 and kept this body style through 1988. The squared off front end and hard lines gave the truck a tough, masculine look. The four-wheel drive model looks more aggressive with flared fenders and bedsides compared to the two-wheel drive trucks, and features a more refined grille over the egg crate style of the two-wheel drives. The trucks were available with a standard 6-foot bed or a 7-foot long bed, and they're known for rusting away. More on that later. My truck is the Extra Cab, only available with the standard bed, which offers 2 feet of cab space behind the driver's seat. That extra space provides a cargo shelf, but isn't big enough for a rear jump seat like the S10 or Ranger or Nissan had. Safety. It wasn't really a priority in '85. My mostly bare-bones truck is a great example, lacking such options as a passenger side mirror or a rear bumper. I mean, the rear bumper was the bed. You don't even need to press in the clutch pedal to start the truck. That was intentional in case you stalled or flooded the engine in deep water. You could put it in first gear and drive the truck out in forward low using the starter motor. Construction. The 80s Toyota body was the same compact dimensions as an S10 or Ranger, except the Toyota was considered a half-ton truck due to its frame and suspension. These trucks are built on a fully rigid boxed frame instead of the C-channel frame that the big three were using during this era. There's no doubt that boxed frame reduces twist off-road, but would become the Achilles heel of Toyota trucks for years to come, thanks to rust. On a C-channel frame, the inside of the frame can be cleaned. Once debris and moisture gets inside of the boxed frame, it's about impossible to remove it all, leaving ideal conditions for rust to form. That rust continues to eat away the inside of the frame until it's cut out and replaced with fresh steel, or the frame breaks. I'll put video links to both of those situations in the description. This is a major problem in road salt states, and Toyota trucks would have frame problems for decades to come. Some people weld plates over the existing frame when they start to look bad, but that's only a band-aid to buy some more time while the rust gets worse inside. 1985 was the last year of the solid front axle for the North American four-wheel drive pickup. The rest of the world had the solid front axle until 1997. Toyota felt that North America needed a smoother, more refined independent front suspension like other small trucks had. So, in 1986, independent front suspension with torsion bars were standard on all pickups. SAS! Solid axle, swap it! IFS sucks, says the internet. Listen, you don't need a solid front axle to have fun off-road. Yes, it's stronger and more durable, with less components to break, but don't pass up a clean four-wheel drive pickup because of the IFS. For most normal driving, IFS is fine and it's less harsh than the solid front axle. If you're doing serious off-roading or rocks are your thing, Then you'll want the solid front axle. The 86 and up trucks received a 3-inch wider rear axle to match the 3-inch wider IFS. My truck has the wider rear axle along with a sky front widening kit, which helps the IFS alloy wheels sit more flush with the body. Both the solid axle and the IFS four-wheel drive trucks came with manual locking hubs, but automatic locking hubs were optional. The four-wheel drive trucks had a 225 75R15 tire, and you can use a 31-inch tire with no issues, but as you go bigger with the factory gear ratio, the engine is going to work harder, especially the 4-cylinder. More on that in a second. These alloy wheels have a 33-inch tire. I also have a set of 35-inch tires that I put on the truck once in a while for off-roading or driving over cars. The 35s fit this truck great with a little cutting to the lower front fender area and 6 inches of lift. It's re-geared with 529s, but I'll make a separate video of all the modifications since there's a lot. Horsepower. Also not a priority in 1985. This truck has the carbureted 22R 4-cylinder engine, good for a laughable by today's standards 97 horsepower and 128 foot-pounds of torque. It's crazy to think that this was the norm back then. If you wanted more power, 85 was the first year of the optional fuel-injected 22RE, good for 113 horsepower and 140 foot-pounds of torque. For 86 and 87, a turbocharged 22RE was offered, bumping horsepower to 135 and torque to 173. In 1988, Toyota only offered the 22RE or the new 3VZE 3.0 V6, which put out 150 horsepower and made 180 foot-pounds of torque. The 3-liter V6 didn't carry on the bulletproof reputation of the 22 and 22RE though. They became notorious for leaking head gaskets. And although they can take a beating, the 4-cylinders use plastic guides for the single-row timing chain on this generation of trucks, which could eventually allow the chain to wear through the timing cover, mixing oil and coolant, if the proper maintenance of the guides, tensioner, and chain are ignored for too long. There are also aftermarket metal-backed guides for a better peace of mind. There was also a diesel that's kind of rare to see in the US, but it made a little less power than a 22R. The 4-wheel drive trucks had a 5-speed manual transmission, while the 2-wheel drive pickups had a 4 or 5-speed available. Both had optional automatic transmissions. My truck is the mostly bare bones DLX model, so it's pretty basic compared to a modern truck. That's how it was back in the day. Trucks were utilitarian workhorses designed to function, not keep your family comfy on a road trip. First off, you'll note the lack of power to the doors with the crank windows and the manual locks. These doors don't even have full door panels covering the whole metal door. The SR5 got all those things. They even had carpet. Instead of carpet, this truck has a vinyl floor covering. The original floor mats were thick plastic and cracked into pieces after 30 years. The extra cab came with buckets instead of a bench seat, but only the higher trim levels got a center console. Forget about power seats. There's a dome light on the rearview mirror, but the SR5 got fancy with dual map lights. No tachometer on this truck. You just get a feel for the right time to shift after driving it for a while. A tach was standard on the SR5. AC was optional, but so were these vent windows. These guys pull a surprising amount of air into the cab when the truck is moving. A lot of vehicles had these back in the day, and I wish they'd make a comeback. This extra cab has the optional sliding rear window. By the way, if you ever have to replace a rear window on these trucks, the extra cab window is an inch taller than the standard cab rear glass. My truck did come with tilt steering and the adjustable speed windshield wipers. The inclinometer was optional and I added one, along with an updated radio. I swapped the quartz clock from another truck. There used to be a blank plate there. You'll notice there are quite a few blank switches where there normally would be options on the SR5 and 4Runner. 4Runners are nearly identical to the pickup from the back of the doors on forward. Toyota did a minor interior update for 87 models, which added fake stitching molded into the plastic dash pieces, some color matched plastics to replace some of the black pieces, and a slightly different dash pad that still cracked as easily as the original one. Southern heat and UV rays really take a toll on the interiors of these trucks. Up here in the Northeast, our interiors are mostly preserved, but everything metal rusts. I mentioned the frame problems earlier, but there are also rust issues with the rocker panels, floorboards, core supports, and last but not least, the bed. You see, 84 to 88 beds are made of multiple pieces, and that's why there is a horizontal seam going across the outside. The bed cargo area surface actually extends beneath the removable side panel covers, and there's a hidden space behind there. Water, mud, and salt can also sit behind the panels, and that's where the welds that hold the bed together begin to rust. Most people don't clean behind the panels, and by the time the rust bubbles appear on the outside of the seam, it's already 10 times worse on the inside. That's why you see so many flatbeds on these trucks. I put a fiberglass bed on my truck, and I'll put a link to more info about that in the description. Starting in 1989, Toyota used a bed with solid bed sides like other manufacturers, and they will eventually rust, but it starts from the bottom edge instead of the middle. Off-road capability. Top Gear spent a couple of episodes famously trying to kill a four-wheel drive Toyota with everything from a wrecking ball to fire to drowning it in the ocean, even parking it on the roof of a building and demolishing the building. The truck wouldn't die and earned a permanent spot in their studio. There's a reason Toyota is the preferred vehicle of militant groups around the world. Toyota earned its reputation as a capable off-road vehicle, straight from the factory. With a lift, bigger tires, gears, and lockers, you can have an off-road vehicle that will get you most places. These trucks are 35 years old now, and there are still plenty of abused, bashed up trucks on the trails and rocks that refuse to quit. But that won't be the case forever. Value. These four-wheel drive trucks were only around $10,000 new. That's around $23,000 adjusted for inflation in 2020. Toyota trucks have always held their value in the used market. Then, a few years ago, clean, low-mileage examples started showing up at the big auctions alongside classic muscle cars and selling for over $20,000. After 30-plus years, 1980s vehicles are becoming collectible, especially imports. Yeah, a lot of these trucks were sold in the US, but far few nice examples are left. Prices are on the rise for the second-generation Toyota pickup. It's not too late to find a good deal, but if you want to own one, now is the time. I only see prices continuing to rise for these trucks because they just don't make them like they used to. I'm an enthusiast owning 8 of these trucks so far, and I'll probably buy more. I don't consider myself a Toyota expert just yet. There's people out there that know a lot more than I do. So if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. If you have any specific questions on my truck, let me know and I'll be glad to answer. Thanks for watching.